Hi, everybody. Michael, the Librarian of Magic here, finding and cataloging the magical and pointing you to it. Back here with a special edition video because we watched Frozen 2,
Woo!
which is on Disney Plus right now, 3 months ahead of schedule because Disney is helping us fight the COVID-19 blues. So, we're going to talk about what we thought of the movie and some stuff about it. But before we get to our thoughts, just some information about Frozen 2, basically. I don't know. Whatever.
Okay.
Frozen
There we
2
go.
is the 58th feature film made by Walt Disney Animation Studios.
58.
Yeah,
Golly.
58 movies.
Crazy.
And it was co-directed by Chris Buck and Jennifer Lee, who directed the first Frozen movie.
Okay.
Chris Buck also directed or co-directed Tarzan.
Oh.
And the animated movie Surf's Up, the one with,
with the
those
penguin.
penguins. Yeah, it's not a Disney movie, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it, I would recommend it. And Jennifer Lee co-directed Frozen, and also she's Walt Disney Animation Studios' chief creative officer, and she's written on a lot of movies. She actually wrote Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, wow.
And she has a story by credit on Zootopia, which the story by credit means like she basically was one of the people that came up with the essence of the story,
Oh, wow.
but she didn't actually write the script. You get a written by credit if you were like the creator of the story and if you wrote the script.
Okay. Okay.
So she wrote Wreck-It Ralph and Frozen and Frozen 2 and story by Zootopia. She also, like I said, she co-directed.
Homemade cookie.
Oh yeah, we got
We
have
got warm
tea.
beverages. We got home-baked cookies.
got the Mickey mug.
We're
We got
doing
cookies.
doing our darndest to feel good.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Nope, that's okay.
Okay. Enjoying my cookie.
Yep, having some cookies and enjoying Frozen 2 times. Jennifer Lee was the first ever female director of a Walt Disney animated feature. She was
Good
also
for her.
yeah,
Nice job.
and still is the only one, I guess.
Yeah, a little late, but take it.
She's well, I don't know if that's true. Well, she might be. Anyway, was the first one, and she was also the first female director to ever direct any movie that grossed over $1 billion, which is Frozen.
Well done.
And Frozen 2 also grossed. It actually
More, yeah.
did more.
Yeah.
Frozen 2 is the second highest grossing animated film of all time, behind the Lion King, the remake of the Lion King that came out last year, which Disney insists isn't animated. So technically, maybe it's the highest grossing animated film of all time because
that Disney sees as animated.
everybody considers the Lion King 2019 to be animated, but Disney insists that it's live action, which is one of the reasons why the Lion King wasn't nominated for like best animated things at the Academy Awards this year.
They didn't, yeah.
But I digress. So it made like a lot of money, like $1.5 billion basically.
But Frozen 2.
That's what I mean.
Second place.
Frozen 2 made like $1.5 billion.
Oh,
but
wow.
second place behind like 1.6, I think,
Oh, so
for
close.
the Lion King.
Yeah. Okay.
And they basically didn't know if they were going to make this movie or not, according to, well, now former Disney CEO Bob Iger.
Oh.
He stated in interviews that they weren't forcing a Frozen sequel. They weren't just like, this is lucrative, so let's make another one.
Right.
They wanted there to be like
reason.
creative reasons and stuff. And Chris Buck and Jennifer Lee and the creative types that are behind these, also Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez, who write all the songs.
Yeah.
They decided they missed these characters and they wanted to do
There's
more
something
with
else
them.
for them, yeah.
And they also said in some interviews, like there were questions that were obviously not answered in the first movie.
Yeah.
Like, why does Elsa have powers? And why doesn't Anna have powers? And where were their parents going when their ship got sunk?
And enter this movie.
Do you think this movie answers those
I
questions?
would say so.
Me too. So
Very cool.
that's kind of what
I
they
like
did.
that.
Yeah, and in this movie, like all of your friends are back. All the main cast: Kristen Bell, Idina Menzel, Josh Gadell, Jonathan Groff. They don't fit the rhyme scheme. Josh Gad and Jonathan Groff. And Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez did the songs. Christoph Beck did the score. And yeah. And then there's some new people that came on as well to play some of the new characters because there are... so maybe I should talk a little bit about the plot of the movie.
Let's chat about what happens.
Okay.
And what we think about what happens.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Yeah. So
See how pre-planned this is.
Who cares? It's our video. I don't care.
Exactly. Whatever.
So in this
We're all
movie...
stuck inside anyway, so...
So in this movie, at the beginning of it, everything is good in Arendelle. And
things look great.
Elsa is ruling.
Yeah.
And they're all hanging out.
She's a little discontent, but things are looking good.
But everybody's happy. Mm-hmm. And then she starts hearing this voice calling in her head.
And not in like a creepy, like there's somebody, you know, maliciously telling me things, but like in a longing sort of way.
And it's like something she feels like she has to respond to. Mm-hmm. And then the village gets basically...
like disrupted, like
under attack or something, you could say?
Like natural disasters left and right.
Like the earth starts quaking under the road, and there's fire, and wind comes in, and all this stuff, and everybody has to evacuate the village. Mm-hmm. And then, like, before all that stuff happens, there's like a flashback scene where we kind of find out a little bit more about...
like their family. And, this relationship with, I mean, I wouldn't say mysticism, but... kind of, you know, like their more kind of spiritual understanding of nature and
exactly
this kind of mythical but real place that they...
And you find out that like Arendelle is on the border of this magical forest. Mm-hmm.
That used to have people that they could see.
Yeah, there were these people there called the North Uldra, which are like...
awesome people.
Yeah, they're like, they're like more magically.
Yeah, they're kind of like in tune with nature in a different way.
The elements of nature, which that's an important theme in the movie. Yes. It's like the 4 elements of nature, and they are close by Arendelle, but they don't really have like a formal relationship. And the beginning part kind of shows how like Anna and Elsa's grandpa.
Right, we think that they like offered this gift.
Runard.
Yeah.
He goes to the North Uldra to like...
oh, here's a peace offering of a dam, because it's going to be good for you. And then...
this is what like Anna and Elsa's parents always told them, because that's what they knew. Like that's what their father knew.
That to be the case.
That their grandfather went to offer this dam as like a big peace gift.
And then
so that they
fighting broke out.
Yeah. And then...
then they got trapped, like separated by the fog.
So that's what they know. They know that it's there, but that it's like not accessible because there's this like magical fog that closes off the forest. And so then like...
when the stuff goes down, that there's this crazy happening.
And Elsa...
then they know where they need to go.
Right, and so Elsa feels like she's being called in that direction. So like...
she's gotta go.
The gang takes off on a quest.
And she wants to do some things on her own. And everyone else is like, hell no, you're not going by yourself.
Well, yeah, because of everything that happened in the first movie.
Yeah, they're like,
Anna's
we're in this together.
I'm not letting you go on your own. Remember when you made like an ice castle?
Remember how this didn't go well before?
That was terrible.
So we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Changing the plan here.
They go off into the forest, into the unknown.
Into the unknown, yes.
And try to figure out the answers of where this call's coming from. And they end up learning a lot about their past, the true history of why there was fighting and what happened in the forest and why it got all shut down. They answer these questions like where do Elsa's powers come from? Why doesn't Anna have any?
Yeah.
Where were their parents going when the ship went down? All of that stuff gets unraveled in the course of their investigations.
Yeah, it's kind of one little thing at a time, and people are developing kind of some autonomy about who they are and what they're about, and also in relationship to one another. So you have, you know, Anna, and then I can't forget characters' names. Who's her boyfriend?
Kristoff.
Like, they have this dynamic that that's a focus in a way, but also Anna's doing her own thing with Elsa, and Elsa's going through all this discovery. So it's very much as a like ever-shifting relational kind of journey, you could say, I guess.
Exactly. So that's basically what happens. Not very spoilery or anything, but that's kind of the basis of the movie. There's some new people that play characters, especially with the North Uldra people.
Yeah.
Martha Plimpton is the voice of Yelena. She's like the leader of those North Uldras. Jason Ritter plays a character named Ryder, who's like this guy who loves reindeer. And
reindeer buddy.
He and Kristoff have like an understanding because they know reindeer. Rachel Matthews plays a character called Honeymarin. She's Ryder's sister.
Oh, that's right, and kind of gives some backstory and help to
she's one person that really wants peace to happen. And then Jeremy Sisto is the voice of Runard, the grandpa. And also, I didn't mention Sterling K. Brown is the voice of what's that guy's name? Matthias. So one thing that is interesting characters too is. Back in a long time ago, in Elsa's dad's time and Grandpa's time, the soldiers went with them to like establish this gift, and there was fighting and stuff. And then when everything went down and the forest got enchanted and everything, the soldiers were trapped there, and they've been there ever since. And they're like old now. Yeah. So this guy Matthias is like the captain of the guard,
but that he's been stuck in these woods for.
And so
I would say it's been like.
Well, however, it was before. So it was when it was when Anna and Elsa's dad was like 9
or 10.
Yeah, so probably like
20
or 30 years.
No, it'd have to be 20, and then another. How old are they? So it's like 30 something.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, 30 to 40.
Maybe like 30 something odd years, and. So they're all still there.
For a while.
There's like all these Arendelle soldier guys that are trapped there, and they still are
so they're surprised to see that.
And they're also still like adversarial with the North Uldra people.
Yeah, there's still misunderstanding there.
So that's basically that. There's all these new voices. Oh, and the Norwegian singer Aurora is the voice of The Voice.
Oh,
the one that's like
nice.
The call that comes that.
So she's a Norwegian singer.
Yep.
Aurora. I love that. That's cool.
It's interesting. And
I love that.
A few things I learned about like the North Uldra and the call and everything. So the North Uldra, like character model or everything, they're kind of based on the Sami, which are the native peoples of like northern Scandinavia, like Finland and stuff, which sometimes in English we call them Laps or Laplanders, but their native name is Sami, I think. I'm saying that
something
right?
Like that, yeah.
Don't come at me, Sami people who might have the internet, but I'm trying to figure it out. So yeah, they're based on that, peoples, and that's really cool. So they try to do like a lot of research about like what they wear and what. Like,
tried to have some amount of accuracy to
how they have a relationship with like herding reindeers and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then the call thing, that like Aurora voice thing, is based on a 4-note, a Latin,
chant,
like liturgical sequence called the Dies Irae, which is the Day of Wrath. But it's delivered in a manner that's inspired by Scandinavian music form called kulning, which is
like
no, it's actually used as a herding call.
Oh,
and it's like specifically a Scandinavian form.
Is it for herding reindeers?
Yeah, and other stuff too, like sheeps and goats and stuff. And it's usually
we don't sing when we herd. I mean, maybe people whistle. I don't know. I've never really been around herders, but I'm assuming
some of them probably do.
Yeah, I know.
And it's usually kulning is usually done by women because it's a higher pitch, but sometimes men do it if they have higher voices. And there's
speaking of higher voices, can I interject?
Yeah.
So I was looking up because I love during the end credits when normally I don't like the remakes of songs; it kind of bother me. But the at the end where they have like pop artists do the songs, they have Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco does the Into the Unknown, and then Weezer does the Lost in the Woods. But anyway, okay, so Brendan, he sang the Into the Unknown in the same key, hitting the same notes as Idina Menzel.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Isn't that crazy? I was like, I like felt like I was listening to it and it was like pretty impressive, but then I was like, it's literally in the same key. And they were talking about when the writers were like, well, we happened to be there on the day that he sang it, and they're like, do we have a backup plan if he can't sing this? Because like it's so high, and they're like, just kidding, like he can sing it.
It's really impressive.
Amazing. I loved that. I thought that was really cool. Normally I'm just like, oh, this weird pop artist stuff I don't like, but I was like, Panic! At the Disco and Weezer, I'm all over that.
It's an epic version. No offense to
No. I think it's amazing that you both can do it and do it so well. So anyway, that's my fun fact that I looked up. So.
Yeah. And Weezer's cover is awesome.
Oh my
and
gosh,
also
so amazing.
Casey Musgraves does a cover of the All Is Found, which is like the lullaby song.
Yeah, that one's nice.
And it's also good. It's like a folk-ish
Simon
version.
And Garfunkel kind of sounding.
And it's really great too. So like all three of those are really good. Anyway, if you want to know more about Kooning, I think I'm saying that right. There's like you get deep on this stuff.
Wow.
There have been like linguistic studies and musical studies and like all kinds of stuff. It's a unique.
Wow.
It's a unique like vocal regional specific form of singing and
wow, I am gonna have to look into that.
So
that's really cool.
Really only I was looking up stuff about this and I stumbled on that and I was like,
this is a rabbit hole you can go really far down.
You could go with that down that forever. So
sometime we've got time. Maybe we'll go down the rabbit hole that is that
exactly.
Very soon.
So that's all that stuff. So there's a lot of new songs, of course, because it's Frozen and it's Disney. And
I really loved. So I felt like the songs diverged a little bit from just the musically. You know, like I could also hear it in a stage musical, but they you could tell they got to play around a little bit more, probably because it was such a huge success. And it was like, okay, well, you know, within boundaries, you can play around with this. Because Lost in the Woods is like a Queen Chicago mashup song, which I loved. Like I just was like laughing and loving it.
It feels like you're the inspiration or something like that.
Exactly.
By
and like the way that they just hammed it up with the way that they animated it, it was so great.
It's
and
really awesome.
Because I love musicals, don't get me wrong, but it just had this more fun, playful feel to it as far as the music went.
Yeah, they got to play around with the Lopez's got to play around with the style a lot more. And the flow of the movie is different.
It even
where the songs come in the movie, they it feels like, I don't know,
a little more natural in some ways.
In
I
certain
always
ways.
struggle. So I love Frozen's great. Don't get me wrong, I like Frozen, but there were some pacing things I always ran into, and we've talked about this before, like pacing with the music, where it was like music, not really a lot of music, kind of weird music, and then being done. And so I felt like this was a little bit more spread out.
Yeah.
There were some times where I'm like, can we talk and not sing? Like, this isn't Les Mis, but that only happened a couple times. I just really I love musicals, but I have this line with Disney movies
it's kind
that
of
I don't understand.
I felt like the music wise, I
I
kind of felt like in the beginning it was doing that same thing that the first Frozen was doing, and then right towards the after the end of the first act and they start going to the forest and stuff, I felt like this movie really hits its stride. It finds what it wants. That's where the movie starts to be what it wants to be.
Yeah.
And that's where the songs start to make sense and the styles start to diverge and the pacing
it's
works
just really
out.
Fun.
And the movie really gets going to where it's trying to be. So I liked that.
One of the things that I adored is the Olaf in this one does some really fun things. I think he just is a really special role in this. And so Michael does this thing where he will do these quick reviews of Disney movies, throw out major plot points and say it really goofy. And as soon as Olaf started doing that, it was wait, did they take a video of a session? It was hilarious. And then when they did it again, I'm like, I just can't handle how much this is something that he has done. So it was really funny.
Yeah, it's really funny.
And just oh gosh, it was so nice. I loved that.
And I also liked, so with Olaf in this movie, they kind of take a page out of the Guardians of the Galaxy Groot playbook, where Olaf, in the first movie, he's kind of he just came to life. So he's kind of infantile.
Yeah.
And in this movie, he's getting older. And
yeah, like this maturity. Like, I'm more mature now.
And that's kind of his theme in this movie.
Yeah.
Even the song he sings is called When I'm Older. Like, he's trying to learn things, and he's more intelligent and more helpful in certain ways.
But also, it's really interesting. I love that he butts up against this idea of change. And that, like, part of growing up and getting older is things changing, and like him asking Anna, like, what do you do when things start changing? And I think she's even coming, like, throughout the movie, change is a huge part of, obviously, a theme for them, is like, how do you find a constant in the like when things are changing? Like, what is your constant, and how do you find a constant? And part of growing up is picking your true north, you know? So I liked that. I do feel like it was a movie about growing up and discovering and truth, and
for everybody.
Yeah. I just think it was a great, like, I really, really enjoyed it, in the sense that, like, I do feel like the themes, the music, I just really enjoyed it.
I also like the stuff involving Kristoff in this movie. I think there was a lot more for him to do, and he has more depth to him as well. His sort of, like, through line in this movie is that he wants to propose to Anna, and he's trying to figure out a way to, like, tell her how he feels and stuff like that.
It's like a Bernard situation in the
100%.
Rescuers Down Under, where he just keeps not being able to do it.
Totally. And
which, if you haven't seen, you should, because it's amazing.
Watch both of the Rescuers movies. They're on Disney+.
There's some very strong similarities between Kristoff and Bernard.
Especially in the Rescuers Down Under. Anyway, he has, like, his, of course, Lost in the Woods. He has some, like, more, like, meatier songs than he, like, did in the first one. I mean, the focus of the first one is the sisters and their relationship to each other. And that's here as well, but that's not completely the point of this story. So it allows them, the storytellers, to, like,
broader.
Expand on some of those other characters, like Kristoff and Olaf and stuff like that, and still give the appropriate amount of time and growth to Elsa and Anna.
Yeah, I think they were able to pull it off, so that was really good.
So what else? Did you learn anything else about this movie? Any other interesting facts?
No, I think those were my only facts. Okay. Oh, well, the only reason, I guess the other kind of fact I have is how they got connected with those bands is that they work with a gentleman, Kristen and Robert work with a guy named Tom McDougall, and he is the guy who kind of knows a lot of bands and looks at their songs and is like, yeah, this is good, or, you know, can provide them some feedbacks, and nice. I guess he does know, kind of some of these more rock bands. So I couldn't at least quickly find the reason why those two particular bands were picked.
It just makes sense.
But I think they totally
stylistically
work.
Both of those bands make sense.
And to me, the credits were a highlight. So
totally stick around for the credits.
Yeah, absolutely. If you haven't heard
hearing those music which is in every Disney movie, right? Like in Aladdin, you hear the
which apparently
Peebo Bryson.
I don't remember Peebo Bryson. What did I say? Bebo Nelson or something really wrong. And you're like, I think you mean, and I'm like,
Peebo
yep, that's
Bryson?
it. Not
Bebo Nelson.
Bebo Nelson. I'm known to misspeak, and that was a.
But you always hear those in Disney movies, like the pop version, the radio version.
Oh my gosh, they're so painful sometimes.
But this one is really good,
it.
so I would recommend that. So,
yeah, so that's
what do you think about this movie in general?
In general, I think it is a well-rounded, creative piece that I think is up there in my list of Disney movies. More so than, at least for me, Frozen is. I'm kind of a nonconformist, and Frozen is not my favorite.
It's like a middle of the road.
It is, and I feel like Frozen 2 is starting to get up there to closer to, you know,
the upper tier.
It's Tarzan, Aladdin. I don't know. You know, there's like weird rankings. It's between Tarzan and Aladdin. I don't know, somewhere in there.
It's
whatever that
above
is.
the middle.
Yes, exactly.
58 movies. It's above the middle.
Yeah.
And I would say Frozen's like
to me it was in the middle. Yeah. Sorry, world. That just was where I was. But...
That's where I'm at too. I think this movie does better than the first one in a lot of ways. Like we've already mentioned, the balancing of it, I think, is better. I think the story has kind of this, like, the stakes are higher. There's like more to say here.
Yeah.
In certain ways. Also, I think this might be a controversial take. I think the music in this movie is better.
I like it better.
I've heard like, well, the songs just aren't as catchy or whatever because none of them are like as earwormy as "Let It Go," for example.
I'm okay with that. So you know,
my opinion is that "Into the Unknown" is just as catchy as "Let It Go." That's been in my head for like 2 days.
Yeah.
I think that song is the "Let It Go" of this movie. And I think it's just as catchy. And then as for the rest of the songs, I think overall the songs in the first Frozen, like the entire batch, are more catchy than the songs in Frozen 2. But I think the songs in Frozen 2 are better songs.
Yeah.
Like, I think that Do You Want to Build a Snowman and Love is an Open Door are more catchy than All Is Found and Show Yourself or even Lost in the Woods. But all of those songs, All Is Found, Lost in the Woods, they're better songs.
Yeah.
I think the only like one-to-one there are two one-to-one comparisons. Into the Unknown, I think, is pretty much the same as Let It Go in terms of catchiness and quality. And I think When I'm Older is basically exactly the same as In Summer. It's that same, like, Olaf silly vibe. And Josh Gad is fantastic, of course. And it's great. It's like, it comes off exactly the same way. But I think overall I like this music more. Like, I would actually buy this soundtrack and listen
we
to
talked
it.
about it, and we might. But I never felt that way
in the first Frozen, I was like, these songs are good, but like, I kind of don't want to listen to them.
Yeah.
On repeat. I know a lot of people feel differently.
Yeah, no, and
a lot of people
totally,
just those songs became earworms and became everywhere because people fell in love with the score of the first one. And I'm not saying I don't like those. I think they're amazing. And I think Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez deserve all the accolades they have, and Idina Menzel and everybody else.
Oh, absolutely.
But for me personally, I think these songs are better. I really do.
And it's interesting because to me, I was just thinking about this, which took me a while to put together, of just like, I think going into the unknown and uncertainty and finding your true north, figuring out what you do with change, and is so much more universal to me than what was the themes in Frozen. Like, and obviously at our current cultural and international climate right now, like, I feel like
it's a timely theme to have.
Inadvertently, like, we are entering to this time of crazy and unknown, and what are going to be constant, and I think we have to find those within ourselves, like, what are our constants, and how do we protect the things that we don't want to change and just be open to the things that are going to change, because that's life, and we don't know what that's going to equal, but it's going to be something. So I don't know, there's my little
I agree.
I don't know.
Well said.
So,
I couldn't say better than that. So
there we
that's
go,
Frozen 2. We
All
like
right,
this one.
there's the Moransky's opinion
thumbs
on
up.
Frozen 2.
It's great.
And it's available on Disney Plus, so watch it.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, and stay for the credits.
Yep.
Yep.
So Frozen 2, did you like it?
I did.
Me too.
Yeah, it gets me 2 thumbs up for that.
All right, sweet. Well, that's our little review, recap, info, dump, whatever.
Hang in there, make some tea, make some cookies.
Have some tea,
hang
cookies.
In there.
Take care of yourselves and each other.
Yeah. Find some magic.
Yep.
You can do it.
And enjoy some Disney Plus and some Frozen 2.
Right.
And until we see you in the next one, or at least me and maybe sometimes her.
Yeah, see.
Bye-bye.